Okay. So Jen is an incredible aquascaper, very accomplished, many, many rewards. She is such a huge influence in the hobby. She is on the board of AGA. She is traveling all over the country, giving talks at clubs, at just conventions, at functions. But above all that, she has been just my mentor from day one. She's taken me under her wing, taught me everything I know. She's been the biggest support I have and become literally my best friend. So this is so incredibly special to me to have you here tonight. And I just love you to pieces.
Thank you.
You guys are in for such a special treat. She specializes in naturescapes and actually biotopes too. So such a special honor to have you here. So you guys are going to love her. Do your thing. I love you.
Thank you.
And please, if you guys have any questions, I'm going to ask questions. Feel free to ask me. I'll come around so she can hear it, and we'll make it very interactive tonight, okay?
So rule number one, if you have a question, ask it immediately. Don't try to remember what it is for later. I don't mind being interrupted, please. And if I'm not saying anything, it's because I'm thinking, but I can still answer questions. So if you have a question, please ask it. I love the interaction. So hop on in. And she's going to have a microphone so she can wander around and help with that. Thank you for having me, you guys. This is great. I haven't been here since, Gary might remember, I think it was, when was it, 2017 that I was here last time?
At least.
Yeah, it was a while ago. So thanks for having me back. I appreciate it. You'll notice I dressed up for you. And this is mostly because I will be gluing myself at some point, probably. So I learned a long time ago to not wear anything I care about. So I apologize. I'm going to go ahead and dig in because I was told I have an hour. So we're going to be quick about this, as quick as I can. I already pre-selected some materials at Art of Aquaria. So we need to give them a big round of applause because they have... So they have really nice stuff. It's a great store that you guys have here. And I'm really impressed with the quality materials they had. So good on you guys. I didn't really pre-plan how I was going to put it all together. So we're all going to do this live. I do have some plants. Some were donated by Andre, which was great. Thank you, Andre. And let's go. Do you guys have any questions before I even get started? Nothing? This is going to be great. Okay. So how do I get started is always the biggest question I get from people. Honestly, for me, it's a lot easier to be able to visualize and when I can see all of the materials out in front of me. So I will do something like this. You got to kind of get a big space. But if you can see all the materials you have to work with, it's a lot easier to figure out what you're going to do with them. So if you just kind of have them in a bin and can't get that visual, it's harder. I also highly recommend figuring out whatever materials you like working with, be it dragonstone or manzanita wood, whatever it is, build your empire of it. When you're at the store and you see a piece, grab it. Because it's so much easier and so much better in the end to have the materials and lots of them to work with, so you don't get kind of stuck where you need just that right piece and you don't have it. So build that empire, get a shed, whatever you need to do, but have all the materials available. I highly recommend that. It makes it a lot easier and you'll have a better result in the end. One thing that I do like to stress is we're trying to make nature happen, right? We're trying to make it look as natural as possible. Keep that in mind when you're picking your materials. So pick things that have colors that go together. I've got petrified stone, right? Petrified wood. And this has really great colors in it, right? They're kind of warmer. They're not like a cold gray like you get with like the Sirius stone, but this wood also has the same tones. So they're going to blend together and they're going to look more natural than if you start bringing in all the different colors and then they start fighting with each other and you're not going to get that cohesive look when you get into the end product. Another thing real quick before I jump in is I hate using just one kind of substrate. If you get a sand and nature doesn't do that. Nature doesn't have the same exact grain size for every substrate that it is. If you ever look at, go stomping around in your creek, the grain sizes are all variable. So you get that texture and it looks so much more natural when you do that. How do you do it? You get different kinds of substrate and you mix them together. So that's what I did here is we got 3 different bags of substrate. We've got smaller grain size and larger grain size, nothing real big, but we're going to mix them all together. So we're going to have that variable and it's just going to look a little bit more natural. And I'm going to have my lovely assistant mix up my sand for me. Go for it, lovely assistant. All right. Also, do you guys, where are my aquascapers? Raise your hands, please. Thank you. All right, I'll take it. So we got some new people here, yes? That don't, or do you by choice not aquascape? That's a fair question. We got some fish people, that's fair. You guys are all familiar with tools. Do I have any craftsmen here, any mechanics or any woodworkers, artists? Okay. What's the value of a good tool? Bingo. Bingo. Same goes for this.
The right tool at the right time, too.
Also, yeah, very much so, the right tool at the right time. But give yourself all the opportunity to succeed. Go get some nice tools. Excuse me. They don't have to be $1 million ADA tools, but the $20 set on Amazon is not going to help you. They're garbage. They're going to rust in 30 seconds. These things, anybody use these? Yeah, me either. Don't bother. I mean, it's a good back scratcher if you ever use it for that. They're really good for that. Some people like the straight tweezers, and I will never call them pincets because I'm American. So some people like the straight ones. Some people like the curved ones. That's a personal preference. Thank you. Do whatever you're comfortable with. There's no right answer to this stuff. It's whatever you're comfortable with. You can have all sorts of stuff, right? Scissors. You got curved scissors. You got wave scissors. There's also the kind that have a curve this way, so you can get up against the glass. Those are super awesome. And then there's spring scissors. I don't see any here. I know everybody brought stuff for me because I didn't want to check a bag. TSA doesn't like these in your suitcase. It's weird. So yeah, you don't have to have the whole gamut of tools, but at least get yourself a nice set of tweezers and a nice set of scissors, and you'll be in much better shape to succeed at this hobby, because we all want to do well, and it shouldn't be torture to work on your tanks, because then you're not going to do the maintenance, and then your tank's going to look terrible, and you're going to quit, and it's going to be my fault. So let's not do that.
You had just one scissor,
Uh-huh.
straight or curved.
I like the wave scissors.
Okay, and if you had just one set of forceps or one set of tweezers.
Tweezers, there you go. That's the right word. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the ones with the pointy tips, not the wide tips. Those are garbage. It's going to make it very difficult for you to be able to use them properly, which will be frustrating. And then you'll think that tweezers are dumb, and they're not. I promise. Once you learn how to use them properly, they're great. Have you ever had a demonstration on how to use tweezers properly? We'll get there. Somebody remind me. Okay. I tasked you. Okay. All right. So we have some sand mix. Oh, that looks great. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Do you want to take like a cupful and walk it around so people can see? Because you're not going to be able to see it.
Yeah.
Yo.
What's good about the wavy scissors from back there?
For foreground, mostly. Because you can get in. You don't have to have a weird angle when you're cutting. They just kind of go along where you're pointed. So my lovely assistant is going to come around and show you the end result of the mixed substrate. Now, ideally, I probably would have also added a smaller grain size, like just a plain sand. I really love pool filter sand, actually. It's a great color. It's not bright white like a lot of I love Carib Sea, but their one sand I hate. It's bright white, and you can't not see it, and it goes everywhere. Sorry, Carib Sea. So I would have... I figure my voice carries if I project it. So that's the only sand I would definitely recommend against using, because it's very difficult, and it never stays where you put it. I mean, if you have shrimp, nothing's going to stay where you put it anyhow. So yes, that's the caveat.
Using, I don't know what kind of plants you've chosen, but are you using any sort of nutritious media for them or what? Okay. All right.
So I will do both. So I will put this in the back and then sand in the foreground, and we'll do it that way. I don't personally love the look of these soil-based substrates in the front of the tank.
Yeah, for sure.
Some people are fine with it. Some people hate it. I'm on the hate it column. Again, personal preference. Whatever you guys like, there's no wrong answers here. Well, scratch that. The wrong answer is clown puke gravel. We are not allowed to use that. Not allowed. New rule. Okay, so getting started. I got a little off track here. When you're looking at your materials that are all lined up for you, something's going to speak to you. And I know that sounds weird, but you're going to look at this and say, this is the piece. This is the one piece that's really talking to me that I want to focus with. And this is going to be the cornerstone for everything else. I like all these pieces today, but this guy is pretty important to me. But I am going to start with the stone, because this stone is pretty foundational. It's the biggest one I have. It's got great character to it. I don't know if you guys have ever worked with this stuff.
Yeah.
It's really pretty. It's really pretty. But I will say, and I didn't grab one, this stuff can be very tricky because it usually comes out like this. And it's this real ugly, just flat chunk. And you don't want to use that side. But look at this side, right? Totally different, totally different, totally different. And you can use the different sides, but just make sure that when you're grabbing them, you don't get one that's all just square, because those are really hard to work with and look natural. It is, right?
Yeah.
She took my cup. Can somebody grab me a cup? Thank. I know, typical, right? Just stealing stuff. God. She's not my lovely assistant anymore. She's just my assistant. You guys have one of these? Who brought this? Is this you? This is Melanie. Melanie, where did you get this? This is amazing.
I know.
Where did you get it?
What's his name gave it to me at one of the aqua showers.
Yeah, so just go buy it from what's his name.
Yeah, go find what's his name. So,
Search that on Google.
short guy.
Yeah.
Richard?
Yes.
Richard. He's in Texas, so we can all go hitch a flight to Texas. These are really great. I don't know if you've ever seen these, but these are really great for getting into nooks and crannies and being able to clear off all of your substrate that went where you didn't want it. I also have another tool that I didn't bring, where if you just have a funnel, just a regular funnel, and then you put a tube on it, like filtration tubing, and you fill the funnel with your substrate, then you can direct it and get it in all the little nooks and crannies that you can't just pour into. Lifesaver. Works really great. Oh, now you brought it back. Okay. You want to help? Can you open this too while you're at it? So I like to start with substrate in. Some people like to start on the bottom directly. I don't know that I have. You do a different one. How do you do it?
I do it.
You do hardscape first and then substrate. People do that. There's no wrong answer here either. I like to have the substrate there because then I like to be able to kind of nestle the pieces in a little bit. You can use egg crate if you're worried about scraping the glass, but the bottom of the glass, who cares, right? It does sound very bad. It's very scary, for sure. You guys know about low iron tanks, right? I feel like I have to do this as a PSA because nobody told me before I got a big, expensive low iron tank. The glass is a lot softer and you will scratch it if you're not paying attention. Don't be afraid of it because they're still gorgeous, but just be conscious if you're using like a mag scrape and you have sand, be careful because there's nothing more heartbreaking than to find out that you've got a big scratch across the front of your super expensive tank. Thank you. All right, who's got a question? Nobody?
How thick of a layer do you usually put on?
Depends on what I'm doing. So in this tank, we're not going to do a foreground plant. We're just going to leave the substrate bare. I've kind of gotten into that. I know that I can grow foreground plants. I just choose not to because I'm way too busy for that stuff. So,
Ask guys, is this going to be like viewing angle? Is it singular, or are you looking to make the ends viewable?
it's a super question.
Yeah.
So here's another thing. If you're doing a competition tank that will only be viewed from a camera angle, do your aquascaping through the camera. Makes all the difference in the world because it looks different. You're going to have that square on view and it's going to be through the lens, which your eyes don't look at things the same way as a camera lens does. It's always a little bit different. And that'll make a huge difference when you get to the end result. And then you're not disappointed in how the picture comes out versus what it looks like in person. So to answer your question, this is not going to be for competition. Please don't anybody enter this in anything. But I will be doing it as if it's in a living room. So you can walk around it and there's not going to be any one angle that's perfect and all the rest are terrible.
But you're going to allow the back to be the least perfect.
Nobody's looking from the back except me today. So yes. And that's another thing too, keep your audience in mind. If this is going to be in your living room, or it's going to be a peninsula, or if it's going to be in a corner, remember that as you're setting it up, because you don't want to have to be in the kitchen looking at your aquascape from the side that looks terrible because you didn't plan for that to be the viewing angle. It's pretty easy to kind of forget about that stuff when you're setting it up and then be super disappointed later. You guys have experience with this substrate? How much do we love it?
We love it.
Yeah, that's right. Good answer. This is the Owasa Scaper soil. Obviously, I'm partial, but it is a good soil. I will let you all in on a very, very deep secret. There's only like 3 volcanoes in the world where all of the substrate comes from. It's just a matter of how they process it. That's how you get the differences in the different brands. Yeah, I know, I just ruined everything for everyone. Here's another thing where I can just rain on your parade. Aquascaping contest tanks, the photo tanks that are online. Anybody go and just look at them and just be like, oh, I want that in my living room. They are not sustainable. 9 times out of 10, I'm with you on that also. 9 times out of 10, they are not sustainable. These contest tanks that they do, you know full well, they set them up, they scape them for 3 months, 4 months, however long, then they put everything in, dry start, flood them, take a picture, and they're done. And they're working on next year. So these tanks are up for maybe 6, 8 months tops. They are not sustainable long-term. So please don't look at these tanks and say, I want that in my living room, and I don't want to have to do anything to it every week for the rest of my life, because it's not attainable. And I'm sorry, I just broke every one of your hearts.
Also, if you go 10 degrees from one angle,
Yeah, it's not the same.
Look good anymore.
Nope.
Not even close.
Not at all. So yeah, and again, that's the difference between setting up for a contest and setting up for your living room, right? You're setting up for one specific viewing angle, and that's it. I don't like it. So all of my tanks I set up for viewing, and then if they happen to look good in photos, I'll enter them. That's a lot of why I do the live contests and not the big photo contests all the time. All right, folks. Start with the big guy. So I'm just going to get started, and then we figure it out as we go along. Now, for now, yeah. I'll adjust it as I get the hardscape in, yeah. But I do know that I'll probably have stuff in the back that's going to need the soil substrate, so I want to make sure that there's enough of it for them to use. Sorry, that was my fault. Yeah, of course. Also, keep in mind directionality. I kind of picked this style of wood for a reason. If you look at it, these are all very directional. So if we start going like this, or I mean, obviously that would be dumb, but they all kind of need to be facing the same sort of direction, because that's how nature works, right? When it's in a river, it's all in the same flow. You don't have some things that are going opposite of the rest, because that's not how nature works. Keep that in mind. It's going to help things look a lot more natural when you're done. And that's my specialty. I'm not going to do a diorama tank here, because that's not my thing, and I hate them. I understand that there's a lot of skill involved, and I appreciate them for that, but it's not my thing. I don't want to look at it in my living room. I want to look at nature. I don't want to look at a mountainscape that's flooded underwater. So sorry, if that's what you came for, you're not going to get it. I know you're with me. Yeah.
Not me.
No, yeah. You're my man. Love a good biotope. So this is the part where I have to concentrate. So if you guys have questions, ask them. I don't know, nothing. Just up here playing with sticks. Kind of makes me nervous when nobody's talking. Say something, Melanie.
Do you always let the wood come above the surface?
Most of the time. Oh, good luck whoever gets this. You're probably going to have to snip some of these branches off to put the light on, unless you have a pendant light. So basically not my problem. Good luck. Love you. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
When you're putting together a tank like this, so I noticed you got your front viewing angle, but as we discussed, you're counting on there perhaps being 2 side angles, right, for viewing.
At least
Depending
not
where it's set.
at least not hideous from the
At least not
sides.
hideous.
Right.
So now you have your divided substrate, and you have an obvious line between the two. You
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to hide that necessarily from the side, but my guess is you're going to put a sand
Cap.
cap on top of the back, right?
Yep, very
So
good.
now you're putting the wood over it. So is it problematic for you to, like, say, get full coverage behind the wood and through the branches?
That's what I would have had my funnel and my hose for, because that's going to help you get up in there.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'll do the best I can.
Yeah, cool.
We'll see. And here's something that's really hard to learn. It's okay to break your wood. It's okay. It hurts. It really, really hurts inside and it makes you feel bad, but it's okay. If it's not going to work, it's not going to work.
Honestly, I would grade that one and that one, any of the flat tips.
Thank you. So, very good thing that I would have just completely forgotten to mention. When you get hardscape from the stores, they're just slashing them out of nature, right, and throwing them in a bin. So you're going to get these really hard cut edges that do not look natural at all. And you'll get like this guy here, which is going to be facing straight forward. I don't really have any tools to work with, but it's really, really, really helpful because that's going to be the only thing you see when you look at it. As soon as you notice, go ahead and weather it. I like to take like a handsaw, just kind of hack at it. Basically, you don't want it to be pretty, you don't want it to be perfect, and then you can sort of start peeling away at it and just make it look like it broke rather than it was slashed with a chainsaw. So that's another kind of good tip to use. Bonsai tools.
Bonsai tools are
Yep.
great for that.
And
Pull out the wood with
yeah, and sometimes I'll just take a piece and just mash it with a
That's a
hammer.
good idea.
Just
Never
kinda
thought of that.
yeah, that's-
Squish it.
That's what I do.
Yeah, bonsai tools are great. But anything you can do to make it look rough and like it broke is going to go a long way. So whoever gets this, good luck doing it with it in the tank. But, you know, try to not look at it. That's the fun part about doing these. I can just walk away. It's not my problem anymore. I don't have to do the maintenance. I can put stuff right against the glass. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. Try to be mindful of what future you has to deal with to clean it. Try to keep stuff far enough away from the glass that you can do your maintenance and clean it and keep the algae at bay. You'll get algae. Everybody gets algae. That's okay. So yeah.
Raffle tickets.
We got raffle tickets.
Yeah.
The raffle tickets are here.
Hooray!
We are to simplify it a bit to not have too many. It is one ticket for $5 or 5 tickets for $20. You see, David,
I know.
yes, we can take credit cards.
Really, really are.
What else did you say? Cash? Paycheck? Any crypto? No, okay. PayPal. PayPal, yes. Okay, cool. Over here, sorry to interrupt.
No, that's awesome. Thank you. I got a break. He's not doing what I want, but I'll get there.
It's like a revelation to me that you could use multiple pieces of driftwood in the same thing. I was telling you earlier, my aquascape style is you take a piece of driftwood that's slightly larger than the tank, you set it on top of the tank and use loppers, just squeeze it, and then the tension of the wood between the glass pulls it down.
So sad. It makes me very sad.
This smells too much.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully wood don't smell. And that's why you do not see a lot of these lovely UNS tanks in my fishing. You see a bunch of somehow still very scratched up cheap tanks. Well, I have the mic. I was thinking to know to give it back to you, but I want to give a big shout out. So Jen already mentioned Art of Aquaria. Did a lot to help us get here today. We spent a couple hours there this afternoon, picking out wood and a beautiful tank and everything.
I mean, mostly chit-chatting. Let's be honest.
Oase donated the filter you see behind you. It's one of those really great canisters, sized for about a 20-gallon, with a heater built into the canister filter, so you have minimal equipment inside the tank. The skimmer will go in a separate auction, but they donated some of those too, and they donated their scaper-lined soil, which I've used in my own hap tank, unaquascaped, mess of plants, but the plants grow really well.
Mm-hmm.
Are we raffling the soil tonight too? Maybe?
We will, I will check in with people that have more raffle experience than me on what else we should raffle off, and I'll make an announcement. All very good questions.
So I've decided
Yep.
that I want to have this little
Oh, a gully.
hole in the middle.
Yeah.
Because you know what's going to happen is your fish are going to just hang out right there, and they're going to feel comfortable, and then you'll be able to see them because they have a place to go where they feel comfortable. That's what it was. So this little tiny piece was in the bottom of a bin hiding. It was thrown away. Nobody wanted it. But you know what? Keep all your little pieces that you cut off, because you never know when it's going to be the perfect piece that you need. When you smash up rocks, or you just have rocks and there's a whole puddle of the stuff at the bottom, keep that. It's gold for sprinkling along the top, like right at the base of where the rocks are, because that's what would have happened as they crumbled in nature. They would be at the base of where those rocks are. Little details like that really make a huge difference when you're trying to get natural, get all in there. So. I know you guys have questions. Somebody's got a question. You guys are way too easy. Oh, you're all busy buying raffle tickets?
I know.
Yeah. Also, it's a lot easier to do this when you're not behind the tank. So don't try this at home. You should stand in front of your tank when you're doing it. There it is.
Don't let. I usually do it blind.
Do you typically start gluing as you go along, or do you kind of lay it out and then when you're happy with your layout, you start gluing? What do you
I usually kind of fidget around with it, and then once it's pretty much where I think I want it, then I'll start gluing.
Okay.
I guess I should probably glue this for the next person, huh? Yeah,
Definitely
let's
glue
be
it.
nice. Let's be nice. Well, this isn't terrible. What do you guys think? I'm going to scoochy this guy over a little bit, though.
How often would you say you rearrange your tanks before you're happy with them?
Honestly, and this is, I'm not saying this to brag, but I've done this so many times that I usually, once it's set, and I walk away. It's very, very unlikely for me to want to tweak it and move things around once I get it done. But I work fast, and that's always been my process in any media that I ever work in. So that's how I work. I don't expect that from anybody else on the planet. Usually I would like to recommend, get started and then take a break, go walk away, do something else, come back later and look at it again. It's going to look different when you come back and look at it. You might not still like it. You might like it more. You might see one little thing that you missed and that you could fix, but it is pretty important until you really get good at it, good at visualizing it, to kind of take those breaks, those visual breaks, to give yourself a chance to have the best result. How do I feel about this guy? I don't know. I don't love that guy there. I will say that this stuff is a little challenging to work with because it's just so gangly and there's just pieces everywhere. So, yeah. But it's pretty. And I saw it and I wanted to work with it. So, hope you guys think so too. There it is. So maybe. Yeah.
What fish would you not be able to put with that kind of stuff?
That's an answer. I would definitely not put African cichlids in here. How about that? You want a real answer though, probably. I wouldn't put anything that's got long fins that could get caught up. But really, this is pretty close to what they're going to be swimming around in. If you've got anybody that's around the margins, they're going to be in this stuff and they're going to love it. So like anything, not in this size tank, but if this was a little larger, your angels, any of your South American tetras, they're going to love this. They're just going to be in and out. Your pistos, some of your smaller cichlids, Danios. Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty natural setup. Sure, yeah.
It'd be a great one for pistos because extremely rare for a pistis to jump. They're not going to dig. They're going to like generally. As
Yep.
one digger, but that was a rare species. But,
Jerk.
They'll find little caves in there.
Yep. I envision somebody hanging out in this cave right here. That's where the Europista is going to be. I thought you said it's a jail.
Yeah, that's the prison.
It's not a prison. It's nice there. Don't be mean. All right. I don't hate this. Okay. There we are. And I don't know if you guys can see. You can. I'm kind of trying to make a break all the way out to the edges so that we can have a natural barrier for the different soils so that the substrates don't kind of mingle too much. Especially if you have shrimp. Shrimp really, 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 really love to take what you did and move it everywhere else. So keep that in mind. So if you've got like a nice sand path down the middle of your perfect forest scape, it's not going to stay there. They're going to help you.
Do you usually, this is on, hang on a second. Do you usually build up your substrate much higher in the back, or is that more of a contest type
I do
setup for the scape?
I do because I like that it gives you a little bit more depth for your plants. If you're going to do like stem plants or something more massive in the back, which is where you should put them. But you can also do it to get more perspective. I usually do more of like a 1-to-1 perspective. Like this is what you would see in your creek, just walking down the creek. You can also bring in perspective and use the depth of the tank with height in the back to make it look like it's further away. That's a really, really popular cheat. That's a good way to do that. Thank you. That's a good question.
So you would end up adding more substrate in the back there. You just did that for now to get
Correct.
started, and then
Yep.
you'll add more.
100%.
Although now you have that drainage spot through the middle.
I know.
of your cave.
I kind of set myself up for that.
So you kind
It's all right.
have to leave it.
We're going to, I mean, whenever this gets transported, it's
Such
shit
yeah,
all
that's
over
what
the
I was
place
gonna say.
anyhow.
It's such a small tank too.
Yeah.
It's kind of like maybe better to have a shallower substrate layer and change out the plants.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. It's fine.
No, it's
See?
good.
Fixed it.
You didn't need anything.
Fixed it.
Nobody did anything.
Okay. So I'm marginally happy with this right now. I might move stuff around when I try to go planting. How are we doing on time? We're doing pretty good.
Do you want to
All right.
open up plants?
Maybe. I think so. So what kind of plants did I get? Kind of took a cue from the hardscape, and that is very long and kind of strappy. And I went with the same idea for the plants. So I didn't get anything that's fluffy. I got everything that's got thinner leaves, tall things. I got some beautiful crypt, got some balancea, which is kind of like a thick grass. This is like the best val alternative. So if you love val and you love that look, but you don't have a 125-gallon tank that they can live in nicely, this is a great alternative. And it doesn't go wild like val, and you'll have the whole tank full of it. So yeah, this is a great.
What's that one?
This is a crypt balancea. And this is Pogostemon
Oh,
Stellatus.
stellata. Yep. Stellata.
Pogostemon and.
So this is also crypt balancea. And then I also got another crypt lutea, which is somewhere, which is a little bit shorter.
This one.
And these
this
are all
is
super,
lutea.
super easy. Like nobody's going to need CO2 in this tank. It's going to be real easy to live with. Yes, I should probably. Yeah. Thanks. Ooh, this is already open? Is it?
I just opened it.
Oh, okay. This is glue, Eagle Eye. And this was brought to me by Melanie, and I've never used this kind before, but they're all pretty similar. I like the super thick ones because I like that it can bridge a gap. Like if you don't have a good contact point, it can make up for it. Some people hate that. Some people like the really, really thin stuff. Again, there's no wrong answer. If you are going to use the thin stuff, you're probably going to want to help it out and use cotton or paper towels or tissue paper to shove in first, and then you use the liquid glue, and it creates that bond and it fills that gap. Do not breathe the fumes. Very, very bad.
Is that just pure cyanoacrylate?
Yeah.
Acrylate, yeah.
How do you know if you're getting a thick one or a thin one?
It'll say.
It says it on there.
Yeah. This says
This is
thick.
thick too. It's not as
That's the code.
Thick.
this isn't as thick as like the
I know.
reef glue.
Yeah,
like
so the
some of
stuff I
reef glue.
it is. It's all the same
Yeah,
stuff.
it's the same. It's not as thick, but it's a pretty thick consistency. And then this comes with this. Like you can order it as a duo, and it's just my favorite. I just really
The
like
accelerator, yeah.
it. With and this glue with the accelerator, it just works really great for me.
I personally like the bulk reef supply.
Mhm. It's
They
almost
call it
too
like
thick for me. Like
super
I have a hard time
ultra
getting it
thick.
out.
I don't know what they call it. It is. I love it. And I can do these stupid live shows where I'm gluing stuff for 8 hours and forget to leave the bottle, put the cap back on, and it's still good. So it's got a really long shelf life, which is wonderful. It's not cheap, but no, it works really great. And again, this is another kind of personal preference thing. There's no right answer, but this is just the stuff I like to work with. And you asked, so I'm telling you.
What was the third plant, Melanie?
This
Pogo? Is that the pogo?
this from Andre. Andre, where's Andre?
You left nothing up.
He left
I
already?
had enough of this.
Oh,
Oh, I want to say.
do you know what this is, Steve? What we got from Andre?
From Andres? No, it's probably something I've never heard of or seen.
Because we all said, Jen, are you going to remember what that is, or do you need to write it down? I said,
Right.
Write it down.
I'll remember. Of course.
Andre.
I remember everything.
Solid 50%.
Bring it over to Coke, Melanie.
What?
There's a solid
Best Coke, so what it is.
0% chance I'm going to remember.
You literally had a plant
It's-
with whose name was Obscurum.
Yeah, you did.
I don't know what it is.
What is it?
The Hyotis.
No, it's it's something that's very common.
Then would be
So with M.
the Dagucha
Oh,
Aquada.
yes. Yep. It's a Ludwigia.
Which one?
Which one did you say? Aquata? You think it's Aquata?
I could have said that.
Of course. You were just testing us, obviously. What?
Aquatica. Aqua.
We're going to go with that
I don't deal with
until we're all corrected. Good call. Thank you for saving it. Do you want us to keep repeating these things so you can?
Andre.
That would be smart. I'm leaving.
Well,
You
what
didn't
is
have
it?
Lidwigia captioning.
Lidwigia arcuata.
Archeod.
The needle leaf.
I told you, super easy one that everybody knows that we can't remember.
It is, yeah, the needle leaf.
Okay, we got you. I've made myself a booby trap.
Nice.
Boobies should not be trapped. There we go. I got it. It's okay. I got it. Don't worry, I got it. I don't have good contact points. Let's see what we can do.
I have tried ordering the little points you can put on the, like there's like little pointy attachments you can put on the super glue,
Oh, yeah?
but
It only
doesn't
really
work
works
then.
for the really thin
Yeah,
stuff.
it doesn't work that great. Even with the thin super glue, it didn't work all that great.
I agree with that.
You use to disguise your welds, then are you a dribble sand? over
You can,
Yeah.
great question. I try to do it somewhere that's not going to be seen,
Sure.
so you don't have to worry about it. But when you can't, I also like, because I do a lot of work with woods, and I will take the chips, the little chips that break off, and just put those over top of the glue as a setting, and it just blends right in.
A wood chip paste, if you will.
Yes. They're just like this, just kind of like Legos. You just kind of stick them in the little nooks and crannies.
You just let the algae do it.
Or you can let the algae do it.
Or I crush up a little bit of the aqua soil.
Yeah, that's
And
another
then-
thing. Or sand or whatever.
Yeah, and
Whatever
then
is
just
going to
sprinkle
look
on
like
there.
it belongs there. That's the catch. Oh, nobody asked me about rule. Oh, wow. Sorry about that. Nobody asked me about rule of thirds.
We're rule breakers.
Hey,
Are.
why
What is this rule of thirds thing?
Golden ratio.
Golden
Tell
ratio.
me about it like 3 times.
Okay, here's the thing. It's a great guide. It's not a rule, but it is something that's way based in nature and science and just everything. The eyes like thirds. The eyes like odd numbers. Any photography buffs, artists, they all know this stuff. You know this stuff. So when you're setting up a tank, I hate this discussion, and I brought it up, and I'm shooting myself in the foot. I don't like to tell people that they have to structure their art, right? Because we're talking about nature, and nature's never perfect. So I feel like if I tell you that you have to set your tank up in thirds, that you're going to go and be mechanical about it and have everything in thirds, and it's never going to look natural. So that's why I say it's a guide. There's some people that'll be, you must use rule of thirds, and it's the end of the world if you don't. And I'm going to tell you to ignore those people. Because really at the end of the day, you're trying to recreate nature, and nature is very fluid and it's very organic and it's never strict or structured. So rule of thirds, just basically if you kind of can group things so that they're not even. That's where we're going to go with that. You don't want straight lines. You don't want things that are exactly the same height, the same depth, none of that. Have variation, and it's going to go a long way. Kind of like how we have a variation in our soil, right? And it makes a big difference. Good job. I got out of that one.
So if you are looking at a design, say in more, some of us come from a graphic design.
I do. I
background.
come from
I
art, yeah.
from graphic design background, so you can actually do that. But,
Hello, my friends.
You know, if you were approaching it from like, let's map out a tank.
Mhm.
and stuff
Oh
like
yeah, that's a
that,
good question.
And you're doing like say you're getting your little golden ratio drawn on.
Getting your little
tank.
golden
So
ratio.
where is your prime, feature spots?
Oh, I am not golden ratioing this at all. This is not the game we're playing today. But
It's gonna fit in there anyway, just because you naturally have.
I do. It's
shifted
actually,
stuff
it's
and
really
put,
it's really funny that you say that, because I used to, when I cared to try to follow all the rules, I would put a tank together and then check it. And just because my brain is wired that way from years and years of art, I would notice that every single time it would check out at the thirds. But I'm weird, so I don't expect anybody else to be like that. But it is kind of interesting how the brain gravitates towards that. And we'll just kind of naturally try to arrange things in that manner.
You know what's really sad, when I first, kind of started and I thought, okay, I'm going to do this traditional scaping and I would follow all these rules, I would literally sit there and tape out on my tank with blue masking tape the rule of third and the ratio and all the thing, and then would try so hard to stay within those lines. Literally, I would
And it's
have
really
it taped
restrictive.
out. And it was like, now to look at it, it's kind of sad. It was like so contrived and so like restrictive. And I'm just so glad that I kind of was like, no, you just get away. Nature doesn't do that. And it's just so freeing. And you can create something just so much more beautiful when you just kind of follow what nature does and start creating real art that way.
I do think there's a value in there, especially when you don't have a lot of design experience. And the value isn't necessarily in helping you create the great design, but in showing you different ways to analyze the design you've chosen to create, because then you sort of see how it lays out and you understand why it maybe doesn't look natural.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you have too much symmetry.
Mm-hmm.
Or you have,
symmetry is evil.
Yeah.
So,
Symmetry is the worst thing you can do. I cannot get this guy to stick.
so do you do a lot of botanicals in your tanks?
Depends on the tank.
Right. When you do you have any faves?
I have, at the house I used to live in until very recently, I had a willow oak.
Oh, nice. Yeah, cool.
That's right. I sent you a whole bag full of it.
Yeah.
So they're smaller.
Yeah.
Because you got to keep scale in mind also. So a lot of times it really cracks me up to see it, especially in the contests that I'm judging. So you'll have like this really beautiful, like minimalistic iwagumi. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the different styles, but it's basically very, very simple, a lot of free open space. And then they'll have some completely out of scale fish in it. It'd be like having like a tank like this that's very minimal and a lot of clear space, and then putting a pair of full-size discus in it, right? It's like Godzilla in Hong Kong. So keep scale in mind, and it applies to your botanicals also. A tank this size, I wouldn't put almond leaves in because they're going to look out of scale. The proportion isn't going to be right. Alder cones would be great in something like this, the smaller willow oak leaves, but keep that in mind also. Scale is important. And no, it's not natural because there might be an almond tree over top of this specific section, but we're kind of cheating because we're putting it all in a small box. This isn't a river. So we do need to kind of keep that in mind also. Good questions, guys. You guys are awesome. Who's going to win this?
I am.
You are? Did you buy all the raffle tickets?
Haven't bought it.
Who bought the raffle? There's always one guy that buys the raffle. You did.
Are we still selling raffle tickets?
All right. Feel pretty good about this, I think. You're just moving together. All right. Good luck to you, whoever gets this. I think it's going to stay.
You can always reinforce the hardscape before you flood it with water.
And I would
after
maybe
you
just
take it home.
like a third of the way and let it sit for a day or so it can soak all that water up. Okay, you ready to go? Let's do some planting.
Okay. Do you want these out?
Yeah. I think I'll start in the back. And this kind of stinks that we're not going to put water in it, so you'll just have to take my word for it. But the crypts that I'm going to put in the back are going to be just lovely because they're going to kind of just blend in with the branches that are sticking up and just kind of do the thing that plants do. That was very professional of me.
What's that one, Mel?
What you got, Melanie?
We've got
Lutea.
Crypt Lutea.
Great show. What you got,
What
Melanie?
you got, Melanie? Yeah, that's the lutea.
Okay.
That's probably my favorite crypt. I don't know. It might be a tie between these guys and that.
And I really love this one.
The Bounce. The one that you didn't give me, sorry. I didn't know you had it.
Yeah, sometimes you have to go to the good.
I know.
supplier.
Oof. Ouch.
It's fine. Oh, the tweezer lesson.
Oh, the tweezer lesson. I did promise a tweezer lesson. Let me wait till I get in the front. Hold on.
She's like literally the best at tweezers.
It takes practice. It really does.
What do you do for plant nutrition? How long do you have to wait? Does the soil have a lot in it, or?
So the answer to that is it depends. So what are you planting? So these crypts, because they're heavier root feeders, they're going to get pretty much all their nutrition from the dirt. You'll start to see, so your plants are going to tell you when they need stuff, right? They're going to start not growing as fast. The nodes will be longer. You'll see a deficiency in the leaves. That's your tell. There's no one answer to that question, and I'm sorry.
Use a liquid fertilizer or
Depends. So if you've got your heavy root feeders, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to fertilize the water. We'll just get algae because they're not going to be able to uptake it as well. They do get some. I mean, they're not going to completely ignore it, but you're going to be feeding the algae for the most part. Do I? That's the fastest one.
Because potassium doesn't stay in the soil.
Right.
And so you need to.
And it gets uptaken
Yeah,
way
the plant
faster.
only takes it up through the
Yeah.
leaves more better.
Yes, potassium will be the first one that'll be a deficiency.
I got so much potassium it's coming out of my ass.
That's amazing.
Gosh, I love this.
Please make a shirt out of that. Please do.
It's a line from Scrubs, actually.
No. Well, you can co-opt it.
So, wait.
Fertilizing.
So, crypts.
Crypts.
So, for people who are new to working with aquarium plants.
Crypts are amazing.
Yeah.
Everybody should keep crypts.
Talk about some of the ways you try to avoid
I want to get
getting
some
a whole
of
lot of
these.
melt on your crypt.
Mm.
A tank like this, maybe?
Sure, and that's another tricky one. I've found that if you buy crypts specifically, they like to pout, basically is the question he's asking. When you transplant them and they're going in a new environment, they like to pout and they look like they're dead. And you say, oh, I killed my plants, and you yank them out and you throw them away. They're not dead. So they just shed their leaves and they get dramatic and then they pop back. So that's a natural response to a change in environment. So like if they got uprooted and they floated downstream and now the environment's different, that's how they cope. So they bring up new leaves to be able to take up what they need in that environment. I found that if you are getting them from a local water source that's similar to yours, it's way less dramatic because the change isn't that big. But if you're going from like immersed to submersed, they're going to pout their heads off. Yeah.
Flying from, say, the Pacific Northwest to here, and you have massive.
Yeah, completely different water parameters. They're going to complain. But just, let them get through it. They'll be fine. You didn't kill them. Is that it? Oh, no, there's more.
So maybe talk about your plant preferences. You were clear that you didn't want a zillion different plants.
I did not. I'm a bigger fan of having a few and a larger amount of a few plants than 18,000 different kinds of plants in a tank, because that starts to get really chaotic. And it's really going to kind of take away from the serenity that you're trying to create. Again, if you are a collector and you just want to have 18,000 different kinds of plants in your tank and that brings you joy, you should have 18,000 plants in your tank.
Yep.
Do you need more?
Yeah.
I'm fully aware that my tanks are
They smell
chaos.
really weird.
Hey, if you like your chaos,
I like my
do chaos.
I embrace the chaos.
Do it. You have all that chaos you want. This is going to be really pretty, whoever gets it.
I love all the big families.
Aren't they pretty? They're really cool. And they don't ever get unwieldy. That's the best part about them. What do you?
Is this all we got on the?
I like the CO2. They can grow it.
They will grow better, but they don't need it.
No, I'm saying if you put on highlight and CO2, they can
Yeah,
grow
they'll,
fast enough to get out of hand.
yeah. Don't do that. We're doing this to be easy, folks. We specifically chose all of this to be
there's some
easy.
more of these.
So don't be afraid. Buy more raffle tickets.
I do have another question.
Yeah, babe.
Would you normally plant these stems individually, or
Very good.
are you just now planting them for time by the bunch?
So I like to start with bunches, but not large bunches. You're never going to want to have more than like 4 or 5, depending on the plant, maybe 6 stems in a grouping, because they're all going to start competing with each other to grow because they don't have the space. So when you're planting stem plants, it's better to kind of feather it out and do smaller groups of less than just take the whole plug that you bought from the store and shove it in the soil. When you're doing a foreground, you're going to want to do smaller groupings, kind of like hair plugs, basically. It's the best way to describe it. So you're just having about an inch apart and just kind of scatter them across the space that you want to fill. And that's how you do that. And that way so when you break up the bunch that you got from the store, is a cue to them to start growing again, because they grow to the space that they have. So if you're breaking them apart into smaller pieces, it's a cue for them to grow, and then they'll be able to grow and fill in that space faster than if you just plant the whole plug in, and then it's just growing from the outside.
I also noticed when you planted the stems just now, you didn't go just straight down. You're going from the side and you pull them over.
Because again, I forgot to tell you the tweezer secret. Okay, so when you're using tweezers, I cannot say the word pincettes, and I know that everybody makes fun of me. I just hate that word. It just sounds so precocious to me. So you're going to grab
For
them.
the Europeans of us, say pincet.
I'll say it for you, but nobody else. So you grab it not at the end, but not very far from the end. So find kind of the roots where they meet where the stem starts. And then you're going to hold them like that, and you're going to stick it into the dirt, but you're going to drag it a little bit. And as you're dragging it, you're going to release. So basically, as you're releasing, the soil's falling back over it and holding it in place. And it takes a little practice, but that's the best way to do it.
Is it in there sideways when you let go?
So look right at it too, like an idiot.
It's very hard.
So
I
you're
feel.
going to grab it kind of at an
It's hard
angle.
to do to me.
Do you want to come on? And then when you go in, it's not intimidating. I promise you can do it. And as you go, you kind of go as an angle and you release. So then it's to the side a little bit. But you don't go straight in. Oh, no, it helps. Yeah. Yeah, the angle helps. Yes, ma'am.
So when you have like a little plant that you're trying to put in there, they always fly away
Mhm.
when you put water in.
Mhm.
Do you have any tips?
Just what I was saying. So you get it a little bit further in. It's okay. They can be like a HC or something, the little teeny tiny ones. Yeah. It's okay for them to be a little bit further underneath because they're going to come up and find their way to the light. Yeah, but they're still going to kind of float too.
Is there a benefit to it, or what's the reason to that,
Again,
Jen?
what?
What's the benefit to doing it that way?
To which way? What was I talking about?
In and over.
Oh, yeah. The benefit is that you're going to have the substrate falling over the top more to be able to hold it in.
And hold the
Yeah.
plants in place better.
Yeah.
Jen, earlier you said like an offhand comment about.
Probably.
Seems like folks are always talking about carpeting plants.
Mhm.
Why not? Why wouldn't you plant a carpet?
Me personally,
Anybody? I put a funny car
sure
for
you
a while,
plant
so
some
got
plants.
3 inches thick.
oh yeah, no, sure. And it's pretty and it's great. I just personally just don't like the maintenance of it. I'm at a point where I just want everything to be easy. You're with me. Yeah, so that's my reason. I know that I have done them in the past and I have been successful at it, so I don't need that t-shirt. So that's why I don't do foreground. Now, it is. You have to do it. You have to successfully do it once at least. And then if you liked it and you enjoyed all that maintenance, knock yourself out. Not for me. I am not there in my life space. All right.
Have you ever seen any good way of people doing like a partial carpet on something?
I think if you break it up with your hardscape, you can get away with it. But I don't. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll start it and kind of feather it into the foreground instead of having it be a full carpet. I don't think you should do that if you're using the soil substrate because the soil substrate isn't that pretty to have bare. So if you're gonna like cap it with sand or something like that, you can do that, sure. And again, there's no rules. If you like looking at pebbled soil, do it. So here we are. So now what I'm gonna do is I've got these shorter crypts and I'm gonna kind of sprinkle them in and bring them forward into the aquascape. Some of them will be in the sand, so we'll watch them moving forward, whoever gets this. And when they start to show signs of not being happy anymore, throw in a root tab. They'll be fine.
You could even preemptively throw in a root tab.
You could preemptively throw in a root tab. Yeah, because it's not gonna, it'll be a minute, not very long, before they tell you they're not happy. But I'm just gonna kind of sprinkle them in the middle, into little nooks and crannies, because that's where they would be, right? I mean, in nature, you're not gonna really find a big patch of stuff just hanging out in the middle. It's gonna be when it tumbled down the stream and it got caught in that little nook or cranny, and that's where it's gonna grow from.
Obviously, I love everything Jen does, but one of my favorite things she does is how she plants, especially these crypts, in the nooks and crannies. That's just like one of my favorite things you do. This looks always just amazing.
Shen, say you're.
Oh, you're over there now.
Yeah, I just move around.
Hi.
And the tank is, you're building stuff up to the top of the tank. Do you think at all about the wood that's coming up and try to like be strategic about where it rises over the glass?
If this was my tank and I was doing it at home, I would have been mindful of where the light's gonna have to sit.
You can fit it in between.
I think,
right
yeah,
here.
it'll go through. It won't be that bad.
It'll be
but-
fine.
Was that your question? I'm sorry, I derailed myself, as I do.
Good question.
Was
How
that-
deep would you be filling this tank?
How deep would I be filling?
How much water?
To the top. Yeah, fill it.
You could also not and put some terrestrial plants on the top that would feed from the roots.
You could absolutely do that.
Feed from the water.
100%.
Are you going straight to sand now, or is there soil under that part?
This is all, on the sides here, this is sand. So they're gonna probably need to be supplemented in a minute. Although, you know, I found that they can just be happy. Crypts, if you wanna stunt their growth so they don't grow a lot and they stay small, it's kind of a cheat. You don't give them any nutrition. It's a terrible thing to recommend, but you can. I am really glad that this is being recorded and put on the internet.
So I mostly breed fish. Most of my tanks just have the bare minimum amount of sand. I put some crypts in pots, and if you don't supplement them, they just live and don't grow a lot.
Yeah, they just kind of exist.
I
Yeah.
have some CO2 tanks, and they grow like that and become weed problems. So I would, probably get those root tabs at some point in the sand up there, but you also don't want to grow too big.
No.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't go crazy with it.
I also noticed, Jen, that you're not clipping as much of the root when you put those crypts in. Is that visible or?
Mostly because they're not that bad. These aren't very long. These are really already short. So I'm not really worrying about it. You can get pretty severe with them. They actually, because they're readapting anyhow. There's just one more thing they're adapting to. I wouldn't cut them all off. That's probably not smart.
Because sometimes my understanding is that if you clip them a bit shorter, it's helpful for planting it into.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to wrangle those big long roots. Yeah, 100%. You are correct. Another thing I like to try to remember to do, and try to remember to advise people to do, is to work with the texture, right? Because if you're working in different plants that are similar into the same space, it's going to give a kind of little extra bit of depth and interest to the area instead of just having just a plug spot of the same plant. Like, so these are all kind of similar. So these plants I'm kind of mixing in. So the textures are all going to blend together really nicely, hopefully, and kind of give a little bit of extra dimension to this space instead of being boring. We don't want boring. Boring's dumb. And all of my professional aquascaping friends would be rolling around and yelling at me for having this messy foreground line. It is natural. It is. And it's just going to go for a car ride, so I'm not worried about it. Okay. And I'm just going to sprinkle in a few more of these stems to kind of break up the crypts. And I think we're pretty much done.
It's interesting. What did you have in mind for the rest of the branches? Do you just want that as the feature, or would you put in a nubius in the branches?
I like that you asked that. I actually don't typically do that in these demos. Use the epiphytes, like the anubias or the bucephalanda, because for me, they just don't ever look right until they grow in, right? So if we're doing this for visual impact right now, it's not going to look great. I also feel like it's really difficult to use those well because of the scale issue again. So if you've got something really dainty like these, they're not really very visually heavy. Down the base they are, but the branches up top, if I stick a big clump of Java fern or Java moss right here, Java fern right here, it's going to look odd. Like it's not going to look like it belongs. Nestled in here, be great. Yeah. I don't think that there was any Java fern in the store, so I didn't buy any. I'm sorry, none was bought for me because I didn't buy anything. I just used the stuff. Thank you.
Now this is very plant heavy.
It is.
Do you, like moving forward as this grows, do you find it to be an issue? Like, do they grow in typically very well? Does this need to be thinned out?
You're going to want to trim
quickly.
Yeah,
like
you're going to want to trim your stems. Those are basically these guys over here on the edges, because they're going to do what stems do and go as far as you let them. So I would maintain them and make sure you're keeping them trimmed so they get nice and full and even. I wouldn't go crazy and make like a topiary out of them, but yeah, so that they're kind of managed, I think is maybe the best word, instead of manicured.
To keep it natural looking.
To keep it natural looking, yep.
Is there a trick to trimming when you do that to keep it more natural instead of just cutting straight across the top?
That's a good question.
That is a good question. Yes, just to be less dramatic about it. How about that? Instead of that sharp, heavy trim that's straight across, have different variations in the height. Make it just kind of look a little bit more, because it's going to grow from wherever you cut it, right? But do make sure when you're trimming to cut it down low enough that you're not going to see those branches and that really ugly spot, because that's, ugh, nobody likes looking at that. So yeah. And it's okay. You can cut them back pretty far. They'll be all right. Don't be scared.
Like with main rotalids, you can actually cut them to the soil line, and they'll just come back from the roots.
Usually, yeah. I mean, if they're kind of, so I wouldn't do that here because they're going to be
No, they're too
so,
young.
yeah. Well, and they're so compact. Like there's a lot of plants here. If you hack them all the way down, they're going to get shade and they probably won't make it. But if you go down, you know, I mean, I would go pretty dramatically. Yep. Yep. And you know what? They'll grow back. And if you want to do it more or less the next time, then you can do that. I'm going to put some more dirt over here, I think. A little lax over there. All right, guys, what do you think? Is it terrible? I love it. Did I earn my keep today?
I love it.
Yeah, it's kind of my signature. I like to do that because you know what? I do these for the fish. I don't do it so much for the aquascape. And I feel like keeping the inhabitants in mind really goes a long way to making it look like it's supposed to have fish in it.
I haven't seen it
Sure.
from them.
The CPDs are like so shy.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
But when
Yeah.
they have caves,
Mhm.
they become very adventurous.
That's a great point also. I also have found in my mini moons that if you give fish a place to be comfortable, they'll be more outgoing because they know they have that place to retreat to if they need to. So if you give them that, you'll see them more. And they'll be more comfortable and they'll probably breed because they're comfortable and they're happy in their house. I think that's the biggest compliment, really, is if your fish breed in your aquascape. I really do. I think that there's nothing higher than that. I don't care what any human says. If my fish are breeding, I'm good.
Sure. Yeah.
I am good. We're going to kind of try to fix this that we
No, I'm gonna put the
didn't
light
know
on.
we were doing. Are you going to put the light on?
Yep. All right.
Did I make it? Oh, exactly an hour? Did I do it?
Hey, get on.
Oh my God. I get a gold star for that. Nothing else. Just that. Oh, thanks.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Do you always cover up your soil with sand or
I try
substrate?
to kind of cover it. I also like to kind of fill in the
Should you do
holes
it
in the
to
hardscape.
help keep from the nutrient release? Should you do that anyway? Should you cover the substrate?
What
Is
are you
that
asking?
I mean, they release some.
To
but I
the
think
release.
Delonte doesn't release a ton of ammonia.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
No.
But wouldn't it also be natural too? Because a lot of times over time, a lot of your nutrient-rich dirt settles and gets covered over by heavier sand and makes it expand.
Mm-hmm. Yes to all of these things.
Yeah, see, it fits in there perfect. All right.
I think that whole like you have to cover the soil right back to the ADA version 1,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, welcome to 6 weeks of ammonia.
Yes.
Right.
Still.
This version 2 is better, but it still has a lot of ammonia.
And they add so much when they process it.
Oh yeah, they add ammonium nitrate to it.
They load it up. And that's why people love it because it's just explosive growth right off
Yeah,
the bat.
You
But-
do like a Dutch tank with that, you get like, you're trimming 4 inches off your stems daily.
Yeah.
CO2 and Dutch
No, thank you. I don't want that kind of maintenance. I will never have a Dutch tank for that
Steve's in
reason.
that situation right now with his tank.
But I do the trimming that you just said not to do.
Whack all the way to the bottom.
Whack them off about 2 inches from the bottom.
That's kind of what I do.
Hey, is it working for you?
It's working great.
Do it.
You can pretty much like pull off the wood and everything. will still come back.
I agree with that. Grow it in a bucket in the dark.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
Huh? Oh.
I realize that I'm making this all pretty and it's just going to go for a car ride. So I don't
But
know.
if you
why.
put like, if we save the plastic bags
We
and put
will.
it there, it should
I
be
mean,
okay.
It shouldn't be that bad. It is going to move. Fair warning. It is going to move.
Not too much.
It will. Be
Yeah.
prepared.
Strap it into a child seat, just like.
Yeah.
Just toss it in the back of the truck. Be
No,
fine.
you literally, I have held a tank in the back of my car with the seatbelt.
Then if we shove it like all with. Like,
Okay, you guys are much more optimistic than I am.
Yeah.
I will also remind you I've done this a lot more than you have. But we're going to go with the optimism.
Yeah.
It's fine. It'll be fine. Everyone, it's going to look exactly like this when you get it home.
Plan for the worst, expect the best.
So as Jen finished up his people skate, Melanie is ready to put our 10-star series.
Woohoo! I am going to do this.
Ooh.
It looks very different, doesn't it? Does it look terrible now?
On social media.
See how perfect it fits?
Very good.
Value. That's not including all of the effort of having
That's right. $720 at least.
720 with that, but we have a great number of trips in there from our aquarium, which are not inexpensive.
You know.
Looking at it, it's somewhere between $800 and $900. This is about a $200 tank, right, for low iron, like super high quality tank. It is gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
We have fish and water in there. You will know the difference between that and tank. Very nice line. And actually, you already fit there perfectly. We then put the 10-star. Awaze donated the substrate, which is one of the high-end volcanic substrates. And Awaze donated the canister filter there, which is, I don't know the exact value, but it's roughly $200.
Not cheap, yeah.
So you got pretty much everything but fish and water. And it is, it's going to be right around $850 value. So knowing that, it is your last.
This actually reminds me very much of the one you were escaping at AGA.
What?
This reminds me very much the one that you were doing at AGA when I first in
Yeah.
2019.
Yep. It is. Yeah.
And you had to fiddle with the things because you couldn't get
The lights, yes.
You're like, oh, and bailing. Yeah.
My wife doesn't know that, but I took this red rat and tried to cover up.
You want to put this back in the auction? You want to put this in the auction? I didn't use it.
We'll put this in the auction, the rest of it.
You use absolutely everything you want to use.
I want to load it up for whoever gets it.
That's a really pretty trip. I love the green gecko.
It's great. And this is, you said this is Wenty Eye? This is Wenty Eye?
It's a Wenty Eye green gecko, so it stays.
Oh, the green gecko, so it's small, yeah.
This tall and I actually love myself. It grows into stuff.
Halfway.
Almost.
There's also been some that's been credit cards.
Oh, yeah, we have
Oh, we got the
question.
credit card ones
Jen,
too.
what's your spirit animal?
Final question.
That's
What's
a
our
really good-
spirit animal?
I wasn't prepared for that one.
Mine's a possum.
That's a good one.
I know. Mine's a possum.
I wasn't prepared. I have to think about this one. I don't. Possums are the best. I can't have that one now because Melanie said
Look at me
possum.
for saying possum.
Don't wait. Isn't it opossum? Like you get in trouble because Australia has a possum.
Talking about the Australian.
Are you talking about the Australian
I'm
one?
talking about the Missouri possums.
That's an opossum.
Okay, well, an opossum.
You can
I
actually.
know. I didn't realize that they get mad at us for saying possum here.
Oh. Platypus.
Spirit animals and platypus? That makes sense. 'cause
They
you
have
venomous
no,
feet.
no. Listen. They have
Venomous
duckbill.
looks like a
They got a beaver tail. They're mammals that lay eggs,
Yes.
They are odd.
and they don't have a peephole. They poop through their skin.
No, didn't need that.
You do that too. Yeah.
Thank you.
I didn't need that. I was okay not knowing that. You? Ugh.
We gotta draw this out. We done? We have Melanie, you didn't buy the tickets, Melanie?
No, I can't have it done. I take it right now.
Oh, Melanie bought tickets, you can't draw.
Really?
I did. Jen needs to
I
draw.
can't.
I'm busy. All right, I'll draw.
You buy tickets?
I can read it out. It's fine. It's okay.
They're all gonna stick to my. I'm gonna have fun.
Just grab one. That person can frame it.
I will take bribes. Last chance. Bribes for the right number.
She didn't even bring carry-on baggage.
That can be her check luggage.
Good. I just
You
took
got my
it.
tickets to read it. You wanna read it? You got tickets too?
0974200.
Aww. Read it again.
Hey! Woo! Hooray! Oh, that's right. No cheaters here. Who's this? Is this a new person?
I think she's been coming. It's a young girl. That's awesome.
Are we happy about this? I'm happy about this.
I'm happy about it. Yeah.
Good.
I'm gonna steal it from him and sell it back to the
I don't think you can do that. I'm not on board with that.
Is that the,
Marcelia, yeah.
small one?
Why not? It was in the bag.
Yeah, go get a picture. Taking the picture, Micah?
Want to get a picture with you in the tank before?
Does my hair look retarded? I just put it up really fast.
Hey, Micah,
What's up?
will you take a
Take a picture of them. Take a good one, Matthew.
Yeah, Matthew, take a good
Micah,
one.
will you take a picture?
Oh, what? What do I need to do?
I want
What?
to take a picture with
What's
her.
the problem?
But I want to take a picture with you.
Joe, you're ready
Eh.
to sit at the front?
Will you take a picture of me and Jen by her tank when she gets done taking pictures?
Can I shake your hand like this?
Yeah.
Sure.
Wait,
Hi, dear.
remember.
No, I just want mainly a picture with her.
You're not gonna do it with the tank?
But you get it. Yeah, let's do it with the tank. Come, dear. We gotta do it with the tank.
Oh, shall we go ahead and shut down the live then? We're done. Tickets off, finish up.
Sure. Come on back here, honey.
Stop the live broadcast. Live.
Yay!